I just started. And we're back, folks. Sorry we had a little technical difficulties. The YouTube, I don't know, we're going to do something about the YouTube the recording of this. We'll see how that plays out. But but if you're watching the YouTube, if you're watching this on YouTube, there's probably going to be 2 links for the foreseeable week.
Right. Basically a part 1 and part 2.
Yeah. That being the case, we have just finished talking about, or we're just finishing up talking about X-Force number 11, and I don't remember anything that we were talking about at the time. I said,
oh no, we were smack talking, or at least Roddy Cat was smack talking Quire, and we're gonna tread carefully around him now because of what happened just as Roddy Cat was going in on him. So I guess we'll wrap up our X-Force issue 11.
I am not sorry about what I said, so screw that fool. But we don't move on.
I will spin up the minigun so we can go into rapid fire.
Yep.
Here we go.
Which is sad because Empire, this week's Empire was actually pretty good. At least, and that X-Men one was actually pretty good. But if you want to go ahead and
right, I mean, since we read all of these issues, it's gonna just turn into like a quick discussion of the entire chunk of Empire books this week. So,
and I think you read a couple that I didn't because I didn't read the Captain America.
Oh well, it's not. It's really not all that involving, to be honest, because what we have is the at least in Empire proper, we have the beginnings of an endgame, and I really like the fact that Al Ewing
said that
exactly. Al Ewing and Dan Slott actually plotted that and wrote that into the book that we're in the endgame now. Mm-hmm. So I got a real kick out of that, but.
So wait, so what were we doing? We're doing Empire proper, or we're doing Cap?
I was about to say, let me see what the reading list is.
So it's kind of weird because there's a couple of books that are behind. Like Avengers 2 is a week behind, or is behind because this should have happened before Empire number 5, and also Empire X-Men number 3 should have also.
Right.
And I don't know where Cap falls, but so I know the tie-in books are kind of slightly behind.
Right. So ultimately, a lot of this stuff is happening simultaneously. In terms of Empire Cap, what we have is we're getting a lot of communication around the world about trying to figure out a way to stop the Kotati invasion from the ground level. Cap is embedded with some troops that were defending Washington, D.C., and they have found their way to San Antonio, Texas. They're steadily moving south. And meanwhile, Kotati infected Army Chief of Staff is, of all people, is making the plea, because no one wants to put the actual president into play in these comics for a good reason.
Right.
So the Army Chief of Staff is making a plea to the international, panel of, I guess, a delegation of different nations' militaries to ask for aid and to try to coordinate their efforts. And these international, these other militaries, these other countries are like, well, why do you need our help? It's all very, very much a current day political commentary. It's a meta political commentary, as it were. This is written by Philip Kennedy Johnson with art by Ariel Olivetti and color by Rochelle Rosenberg, who's cool. Met her, she's cool. So as I mentioned earlier, there's a lot of real world meta commentary going on in this in this issue as in regards to the NATO meeting. That's what it is. It's not. I was trying to remember where where and with whom this army chief of staff was meeting, but it's with the various members of the NATO alliance. And as I mentioned, this army chief of staff had been infiltrated, had been compromised by Kotati, and he made uh, he made an attempt to take over this NATO group, and Cap and his not quite Howling Commandos come in and save the day. And Cap gives a nice little speech at the end where even the Kree and the Skrull are like, man, that guy is pretty impressive. That's, you gotta love a little bit of Cap worship, and they're off to the Battle of Mexico City. I believe it's the last issue. I believe it's a 3-issue miniseries. So the next issue will be the last one, and it will have the Battle of Mexico City with the combined NATO troops and Cap's band of Kree and Skrull Alliance warriors, and the troops that he had brought down from DC. All right. Next up, we could talk about Empire Avengers.
Yeah, I was gonna say something about that Cap, or at least the last Cap one, because I did read that first issue, but hadn't read this one yet. So, but it's not worth it. I don't remember what I was gonna say. So, next.
All right. So, Empire Avengers, we are in the Savage Land with a group of Avengers tasked with dealing with a Kotati invasion of the Savage Land. We check in with a small group of Avengers in Central Park as well, dealing with some of the undergrowth that has popped up there, and we find out that of all people, Plant Man has decided to rear his planty head, and for good reason, because it makes complete sense that he would be on the side of the Kotati in this war. So the Vision, Luke Cage, and Dr. Nemesis of the Agents of Wakanda are taking on Plant Man and the verdant green zombies that he's bringing up in Central Park. Excuse me. Meanwhile, Wonder Man, Quicksilver, and Mockingbird are in Mexico trying to convince the Kree and the Skrull alliance armies to not fight each other. And we check in with a group of Avengers in the Savage Land who have been captured by the Kotati group down there that have infiltrated Shanna, the She-Devil, and we find out why, because she's apparently connected to the life of the Savage Land, the life force of the Savage Land. So that's how she is compromised.
She's part of the green, almost like Poison Ivy.
Right.
But yeah, apparently I almost looked up that story because they did footnote that story where that apparently happened, but I didn't. And I think that's about as far as I read in this issue, because I just realized I was going to finish reading this book before we started.
Oh, okay. So then I will not spoil. So what's interesting about that note, that little footnote that you mentioned, it's relatively recent. Savage Wolverine #4. That's not that long ago.
Gotcha.
That's within the last four. That's definitely within the last like 4 or 5 years.
Right. They did give a date. They put the date on it.
Time, it's a long time, but
yeah.
I mean, in comic time, it's not a long time, but for us, it's I've already forgotten a lot of stuff that's happened 4 or 5 years ago in the comics. So
Same.
I don't blame you if you didn't see that. So, in any event, what we have at the end of this issue is something I will not spoil, because it's the Avengers trying to convince Shanna to overcome the Kotati influence that has seemingly taken control of her, and the Man-Thing is proving to be a pivotal player. Whether or not he's in control of himself is another story. But at the end of the story, we have a pretty intense cliffhanger ending that I will not spoil. We will see how this plays out in the last issue of Empire Avengers #3.
Nice.
All right. Empire X-Men #3. So this is 3 of 4. So the X-Men get a nice little story arc, like a nice 4-issue story arc to tell their story.
And it's a crazy one.
Yeah, this is a pretty wild issue. There's a couple of, if there's one problem I have with this issue is that um, I found it a little hard to follow when we transitioned from one storyline to another.
Yeah,
At least one aspect of the story to another.
I totally get that. Yeah.
We had to read a caption box, and once we read the caption box, it makes sense. But the second you go from that caption box to the panel to the following panel, it's just pretty, it's pretty confusing. And that's a little bit on the shoulders of, and I'm scrolling to check on the artist who laid this issue out, Andrea Brocardo.
Mm.
It's a minor quibble, to be fair, in an issue that was just a little wild to begin with. But at the end of the day, just to backtrack and go back to the beginning, my only note on this is brains, because the Genoshan zombies and the Kotati warriors are duking it out on different parts of Genosha, and apparently, the Kotati warriors are not immune to the influence of the zombie bite.
Yeah. That part right there in itself was like, what, really? Because first they were doing the process that they was like, oh, these plant people ain't got no brains, so we need some more sustenance. And then they were like, oh, okay, but yet some folks got subsided.
Right. So basically, they got chewed on and spit out, and the effect of the zombie bite upon the Kotati caused them to have an appetite for brains, many fresh brains. So brains.
So let me stop you real quick. Like so, I've made this reference before, but I'm gonna say it here again. If you are yourself out there thinking Plants vs Zombies, the video game, yes, you might as well, because it's pretty much, and we're pretty much going to get a direct, or well, I feel like we're going to get a fairly direct reference to that next issue, the way this issue is going. But continue.
Right. Trying to figure out who this character is that's at the lead. Who is that? Is that Lily? No, that's not Lily. No, they're not. They're not listed at in the roster at the beginning, because they're part of who I'm referring to is part of the group called in as reinforcements from Krakoa.
Oh, right.
Who is the black clad Hellfire Club lady?
You know what? Let me go look at that again,
because that's supposed to be.
I couldn't remember that either. Because I feel like it was like everybody in that shot was pretty much.
I can explain everyone in this shot basically. There's Quire, who's not dead again. Danny Moonstar.
Yeah, see. Yeah.
Karma, the Cuckoos, Exodus, Sinister. But who's that lady in the lead?
Yeah, so they basically they called out the psychic hotline, the Krakoan psychic hotline, and had everybody on deck. And which is what gets us here. Let me see if I can get to the page like really quick.
Who is that? Is that Celine? Because she's supposed to be a bad guy in Captain America right now.
You know what? That's probably. You talking about like right under Quire. And between Sinister and is that who you're talking about?
Yeah, right. Yeah, the lead. She's in the lead. She's point. She says, "What madness is this?"
Yeah. I think that might be That might be Celine.
That's crazy. She's supposed to be a bad guy in Captain America right now.
Well, they're sliding
get around those Krakoan gates, right?
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. So that's not outside the realm of possibilities. And again, this is kind of out of order with stuff, and we will never know when that Cap is supposed to be taking place in relation to this anyway.
Right. So in any event, the psychics, the cavalry, as it may be, as it were,
and again,
arrive.
I hate Quentin Quire.
Right. They start taking on the Kotati, Beast and Opal, one of the horticulture, team up reluctantly as Magic exerts her will and brings Opal to the Beast to try to come up with a serum to kill the plant people. and apparently they're successful. And we get to the transition that I was kind of complaining about. We get a quick transition to a zombie mutant who blows things up real well, and saves one of the horticulture and Madrox.
So that
But
yeah, so that zombie person has been there pretty much the whole time. We've seen this person. We don't know because they call him the Exploity Boy at the beginning when they have the thing of it. So I don't know if they were their actual name in life when they were on Genosha. So I don't know. But that zombie exploding person has been there this whole time.
Right.
Wisecracking, doing whatever. But also before you even go along, get to this next part. I do love that they kind of evoke 90s X-Men Beast, animated X-Men Beast, when he and Opal are doing their thing. Because how
it's like super verbose.
Exactly. Because you could almost hear it in this verse. Because it's like in the words of da 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 da, and goes on the thing, and it's like Eureka. And I was like, yeah, that's totally 90s animated X-Men Beast.
That's funny.
But then Nightcrawler comes into play after that whole the Exploder Boy thing, as that's going on, or after that's going on. But continue.
Right. I mean, and I'm glad you mentioned that. So we've got the serum loaded up into Super Soaker, and Nightcrawler is armed with said Super Soaker, and he is teleported by Gate to Genosha, and he is the next wave of the cavalry, as it were. So just as one of the cuckoos is about to become plant food, Magic saves her, but Nightcrawler appears on the scene. And if there's one thing that I guess we become spoiled by as old-time X-Men readers, is that every once in a while Nightcrawler says stuff in German.
Yes.
And back in the day, every once in a while they would drop a translation into an editor's note.
And they did not this
but
time.
Nowadays, I think they just rely on everyone to have Google Translate nearby or the internet nearby to translate what Nightcrawler is saying.
Mm-hmm. I kind of almost did. I basically took it as his Imperious Rex moment.
Right.
But yeah, so I don't know who doesn't like Nightcrawler at this point, but when he comes in, especially when they have him swashbuckling like he is and just kind of coming in and bopping around and doing his thing, it's always a great time. So they did kind of inject a good bit of fun in this issue as they were going along. But that part right there was like, okay, they're not going to give us any kind of translation, and I was just like, all right, it's Imperious Rex, go.
So ultimately, while Nightcrawler is zapping Kotati left and right, we flash back to Magic, and which cuckoo is this?
It probably doesn't even matter at this point, but yes, it is one of the cuckoos. I'm not sure.
I forget.
I think they actually say it, but
right, I forget if they actually say which one this is. But there's now 5 of them, so to be honest, as Variety Cat said, does it really matter? Yeah. But in any event, Magic and one of the Stepford cuckoos are teleporting around Genosha to find the source, because they could be fighting wave after wave of Zombie and Kotati without getting to any sort of resolution. So what they find at the end of their teleportations around Genosha is the staff that we last saw wielded by the Scarlet Witch.
Mm-hmm.
And it essentially does something very, very bad to Magic, and we see the return of a form of Magic that we have not seen in a while. And I'm not going to spoil it, but if you're versed at all in the history of the character of Ilyana Rasputin, there's a couple of forms that she's taken in her past as an X-Man and as a New Mutant. This is one of them, and this is one of the darker ones. So
yeah, I don't remember this one. But
well, it's a form of it.
Right. I know the other form, but I was like, I don't remember seeing this form before.
Right. It's a form of it because technically the horns give it away, and I'm giving it away to anyone who is listening and watching what it is I'm referring to. So that's one revelation. We get a kind of gruesome revelation in the interim because as they're trying to fend off the Genoshan zombies, they chuck dead uh, duplicates of Jamie Madrox at them to hold them at bay and to give them something to gnaw on.
Well, right before that, so backing up a second, because that was because of a deal that you kind of alluded to before, but you didn't necessarily go into the exploding zombie dude and Matrox pretty much came to a deal into where it was like, hey, I'll help you with the katati if you just give me the scraps that's left over on the battlefield. And I'm sitting here like, what scraps? It's all dead plant people. Then I totally forgot about all the Matroxes was out there. So the exploding zombie just did his thing. Exploded boy, I guess that's what they call him. Did his thing.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
And then there was a bunch of dead Matroxes around that he went to start eating on, and then his friends came, and that's what Agent 70 is talking about now.
Right. So again, that's a brief little interlude, but we get back to what's going on with magic, and we get a nice little cliffhanger ending for that particular interlude, because magic is definitely under the influence of that staff that the Scarlet Witch had created at the beginning of this crossover series. Meanwhile, Madrox and the horticulture discover that there's even there's something even bigger to deal with as a result of the Kotati invasion. So it's all crazy, it's all going bad. It's a pretty wild. I don't know if it's going to be consequential, although I have a feeling it might be because of what the Scarlet Witch has done. So maybe this is one of the more consequential Empire tie-ins.
Coincidentally, Scarlet Witch, who's also over in Avengers, Empire Avengers in the Savage Land, who just got knocked out in that book, or was knocked out in that book. So who knows when this is even going on?
Right, it's got to be before. So, or at least her actions happened before. Before she was deployed. So we will see how this all plays out in the end. But yeah, it's really one of the more interesting crossover issues or tie-in issues.
Yeah, and this is where I said earlier, this is probably where we're going to get the Plants vs. Zombies direct reference next issue. It seems rife to go there. And I believe Vita Alaya wrote this issue.
Yeah, I think it's Vita.
With some help, but yeah. So that kind of explains some of the fun, but but yeah, that's pretty much how this plays out, and we're going to get to the next issue.
I was about to say we're not exactly rapid firing here because we both read all these issues.
Yeah.
So moving on to Empire number 5. In the spirit of rapid fire, we see a glimpse of the wedding between Wiccan and Hulkling. I don't know if they're going to be going into this any further.
Yeah, I kind of wonder about that.
Yeah, I thought it was teased that we would see this in one of the Aftermath issues.
Mm-hmm.
But we ended up seeing it here in Empire number 5. We flash to what is happening on the battlefield in Wakanda, and the Thing is really getting his clock cleaned by now dead She-Hulk under the control of a Kotati. And this is something that we talked about last week in reference to Empire number 4. And I took a quick peek at your notes, and you were wondering when Ben Grimm was able to bleed out of his rocky exterior.
Well, no. I've seen it happen before, but I was just kind of making a joke about the blood from a stone trunk. Yeah, we've seen it before. In fact, the last time he fought the Hulk, that happened.
Right.
In Fantastic Four. So yes, this is the second time in a couple of months that he has fought a Hulk.
Right. And I was going to say, I think it's just the evolution of the depiction of his injuries, because growing up, I remember reading issues of the Fantastic Four, even 2 and 1, where he would have bloody noses.
Mm-hmm.
He would definitely have bloody noses. Like you would see, like blood coming out of his nose, but not gushing the way he kind of is in this issue.
Right. But it's still like he has a rock form. It's still kind of weird to see. Yeah, I think I even said this in that Fantastic Four issue. Like it's just weird to see this level of him bleeding out like
Right.
that. So, but I do love this part. Like, yeah, this one's kind of, this is one where, as Agent 70 said, this is where we get the in-game reference, because this is when it was said here, if I'm not mistaken. But I do like this part of the book because, in true Ben Grimm fashion, which I think you were about to get to, you know, he does a Ben Grimm thing and keeps fighting.
Of course. If there's one thing that is consistent with stories about the Thing, is that he doesn't go down without a fight.
Right, but also there is a reference here that I would really like to see more of, or that I would like to see explored.
Oh, right. Because of what we know is going to be explored in terms of the She-Hulk.
Right.
So, as I mentioned, we're in Wakanda, so we flash to another part of the battle where what is it? What is it? The Star Sword? I forget what he called it.
Yeah, sure.
Space Sword.
I believe
You know,
the
there's
Star
a
Sword.
magic. Right, there's a magic sword.
Yeah, I think, because I know he said space, but I think it's either the Star Sword or the Space Sword. But I think it's just the Star Sword. I think, or maybe
Right.
thinking of maybe thinking some more Space Knight stuff. I don't know.
Right. Well, in any event, what we have is T'Challa doing his best to hold off the Kotati hordes at the foothills of the Great Vibranium Mound, because we know that they're looking to plant a gate at the in the soil of the Vibranium Mound. So, you know, T'Challa's doing his level best, but he's getting overwhelmed, and the Kotati are unfortunately successful with opening a gateway in the soil of the Great Mound, and that is where T'Challa utters something from Avengers: Infinity War, which was, you know, it's a line that was given to Doctor Strange in that movie.
Yes, I almost put that
And
in my notes, but I was like, I knew we were going to get there.
right. Unfortunately, we have the reappearance as a result of the gate of both Koi and the Kotati swordsman.
Who does something bad to, or who pretty much deals with T'Challa, as we see, and I didn't like that part, because I was like, oh no, but at the same time, hopefully it's going to turn out.
Exactly. That's bad news. It's bad news. So that is one little mini cliffhanger, and we also get to Wiccan basically exposing the plot against the Hulkling, and you know, it's about to go down on the Kree Skrull flagship, because while it's not completely revealed who has taken Hulkling's place as the Emperor, or standing in his place as the Emperor, but we have a general feeling who it is based
Right.
on the events of Empire #3,
Right.
or #2. So, you know, there's been a couple of issues since this probably happened, and there's only one character in the know at this point, and that is Captain Glory of the Kree. And apparently, we whatchamacallit, the Skrull that is impersonating Hulkling is ready to delay as much as possible the fight, because the gears have already been put into motion to have their pyre plan put into place, which is going to superheat the sun and basically destroy the solar system and the Earth with it, to try to, quote unquote, prevent the spread of the Kotati. You know, and what's funny is that the timing is all very convenient. What is it, like 10 minutes? This is going to go. One thing is going to go down in 9 minutes. The other thing is going to go down.
Right.
So, you know, we have that. And at the end of the issue, we flash back to this point, to the ineffectual science bros, or at least a different pair of science bros, of Reed Richards and Tony Stark. And we have Reed in a new suit of Iron Man armor with a Fantastic Four symbol on it.
Yeah, that's not a bad look.
Yeah.
And after the issue is over, you see some concept art of his stuff and other characters, like you know, so that's cool to see that kind of stuff. But yeah, so the basically is like basically Tony's like, yeah, we got less than 10 minutes to save the Earth save the world on multiple fronts. So all right, let's go.
Right.
So
gotta love it.
Yeah.
Gotta.
Yeah, because they've pretty much been on the sideline this whole time.
Yep.
Like Reed was babysitting Tony, and Tony's just like, oh, I'm in my feels because I got duped. Oh, what am I doing? I can't do my stuff. So we'll see what they got going on next issue.
Yep, pretty much. So that is Empire for this week. We are near the conclusion of this story, and I have to say that it's been pretty entertaining from my perspective. So
Same.
I've definitely enjoyed it. I have a feeling that this is going to be a slightly overlooked event.
Yeah, I can see that. But I mean, yeah. I mean, I'm still holding out because sometimes we've been duped before. Like these events kind of go good so well, and then they just end with a plot or something.
Right.
So we'll see.
Right.
I mean, we got a good team. We got a good team on the creative side. So I'm hoping good things.
Right. So let's see. What do I have left to talk about before you jump into your books?
Which I only have one. So.
Right. Okay. Dark Knight's Metal #3. The insanity of Snyder's story continues. The heroes of the DCU split into 3 teams to try to restore everything destroyed by Perpetua. Meanwhile, Luthor seems to have his own plans in motion. There's some pretty crazy visuals in these stories. You got to give Greg Capullo a lot of credit. And obviously Snyder's just losing all his marbles in this, in the story. It's just pretty crazy. And lastly, I have 7 Secrets #1. This is from Boom Studios. This is written by Tom Taylor. There's an interesting premise and first issue to start this series. Essentially, these are 7 pairs of secret keepers keeping 7 secrets that could destroy the world on their own. And bad guys are out to capture the 7 secrets, or any one of the 7 secrets. And and the issue is narrated by someone who comes as the result of one of the rules being broken by a pair of secret keepers. So all in all, it's a pretty entertaining first issue. We will see if I keep this up. I do regret not getting to, and I didn't realize it was out. I probably just scrolled past it. Adventure Man #3 came out this week, so I'm going to try to catch up on that over the weekend.
Nice. All right. Well, for me, there's only one more to do, and I forgot. Oh no, I did get theirs. Okay, cool. There's only one for me, and that is Star Wars Darth Vader #4. So brief strokes. There was a trap that was sprung by Sabe, one of Padme's handmaidens who was still alive and who was seeking out justice for Padme and Anakin. She came across Darth Vader, or vice versa, and he thought he was keeping his involvement close to the vest, which he still kind of is, but apparently Sabe's and crew were no fool because they blame Darth Vader for the death of Padme and Anakin, and which they say during the course of the springing the trap, which involves, if you remember episode 1, that big fish creature that chases down Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan and Jar Jar underwater. But of course, this is Darth Vader, so he gets out of that, and that thing dies. But then he goes after obviously goes after Sabe and them, and eventually finds them close to Padme's grave or tomb, but not before taking out. Apparently there's one other dude from the prequels that did show up, and I think either Darth Vader took care of him or just kind of put him to the side, but he pretty much killed a bunch of people. Then meeting up with the other handmaidens that were still around, which was pretty much all of them, who attack Vader, and he just kind of deals with them, but he doesn't kill them, weirdly enough, or not weirdly enough. All the while, a bunch of memories from the prequels come flooding back to him while he's fighting, which, as I say in my notes, pretty much do more hurt to him than they have done, even with the big fish creature to Vader. But then, like I said, it ends up with Vader going to the tomb of Padme and going in for whatever odd reason, which we will find out next issue. And that is Darth Vader #4. And that's the ends of my books.
All right. So here we go. We are coming up on Clicks of the Week.
And we already got a couple from our folks that are not here. Because I almost forgot that I put it down there. From Dirt, it's Hawkeye Free Fire #5, which came out in print, even though the digital version came out a while ago. So we still kind of have some of that still going on. And for Tim, so I still kind of figure. Well, I mean, it still counts because it came out in print. And by the way, last week he had the click of the week for Ant-Man #4 or 5, whichever one. That was also coming out in print, which is why it was this click from last week. So it technically did come out last week because it was in print, but we had already read it and talked about it. I think. Well, we read it, or it was out in digital already months prior because
Exactly, but for the folks, for the good folks who chose not to, who chose to delay gratification, as it were,
right,
and wait for their hard copy books to come out, it definitely came out last week. And this week we also got Ghost Spider #9, which I didn't want to talk about because I believe we talked about it earlier, but I did get my print copy this week, so that was cool.
Right, but it was also the thing that, well, when these issues were coming out in digitally, we did not know they were going to come back around. We thought they were going to come back around and put them in print, but we weren't really sure because they didn't make any. They basically almost said that it didn't seem like they were going to do that, which much to the ire
what
of,
I was going to say is. Yeah, what I was going to say is what they told us at the time and what their initial plan was until people raised a ruckus is that they were going to just do trades. They were going to publish them in the trades. They weren't going to put out the individual issues. That's what the initial plan, I believe, was.
Right.
So once they, I guess once people got into a huff about having holes in their collection, the completists, represent the completists, Sala, because that's me, I definitely sympathize with the completists out there who are like, hey, man, you're going to put a big hole in my collection. So print comics definitely still has some influence on the events of the comic book industry. So they ended up putting out the individual copies of these comics, thankfully. So as we just to wrap that particular discussion, I think we're still going to get a couple more of these, including Valkyrie, coming out over the next several weeks. If I recall, I remember reading that it was going to be over the course of August and September. So,
right. And on the other side of that coin, from Tim, we got a Marauders #11 as his click of the week.
Right. That's a good pick. I am going to second that.
Oh, nice. Yeah, Marauders were good, and I think he even said it for the reason was I was kind of glad. I was like, yeah, Kate Pride lives, as he says.
That's right.
So. And yeah, that's a pretty good pick. I almost want to go along with it, but I'm thinking, I actually kind of want to go with, It's basically between Marauders and Empire #5, if I'm being honest.
Nice. I liked Empire #5. Yeah. I did, but I definitely got a kick out of reading Marauders #11 for the simple fact that, and we kind of, without truly belaboring the point, we definitely did go into at length in the first half of our show.
Although the auto people wouldn't know that, but
right, it took a lot of inspiration to figure out what was amiss in the resurrection protocols that weren't allowing Kitty to come back. But now, it took a little, bit of ingenuity, and now she's back, and it's a pretty cool thing. We'll see. Like I said earlier, we'll see if she's able to go through the gates now.
Yeah, exactly. Oh yeah, that was the part where they mentioned beforehand. Yeah, you know what? I will go ahead and go along with it. Shout out to Empire #5 because I do love that theme moment. It was pretty good. The rest of it was good, but it was a bleak moment. It was some would say the Empire Strikes Back of this event, but and it's like the penultimate one, so go figure. So yeah, Marauders #11 for me too. I will go ahead and triple that,
Wow.
and because Cape Pride lives, and that's what we've been waiting on. That's one part of the mystery we've been waiting on. Like somebody just said, that we'll see how the other part goes. I suspect that should be fine though. I don't see unless because if that's the case, then something else is going on that was also rumored, you know. But we'll see. All right, so now that we've done all of that, let us get to an ad read, sir.
All right, our first ad read of the night is for Funko, Fun at First Sight. It's your home for exclusive collectibles such as their world famous Pop Final bobbleheads, apparel including t-shirts, hats, and socks, and brand merchandise such as custom DIY pop figures, art books, and skateboards. And now the listeners of the Comic Book Chronicles can enjoy 10% off your entire purchase when shopping at Funko. To place your first order with 10% off and to help keep our show free for you, go to our network website at cspn.us. That's cspn.us. Then click on the Keep Our Podcast free link at the top of the page. From there, scroll down to the Funko link and place your order. When you get to the checkout, put in the offer code SHOP10 for your 10% off discount. Funko through cspn.us. Do it today. Now, get into the news.
Whoops. Yes, folks, it is now time for the news. As we do each week this time, we are going to do the cinematic news. As I totally forget what the next ad was going to be, but that's fine because I can pull it up. Cinematic news goes as follow. The Matrix fan theory that makes Agent Smith the true one. Whoa. So I'm not gonna go into this whole thing, but apparently some person theorized that Agent Smith was the actual one as opposed to Neo, but and of course some people are with that, you know, said theory, and I'm not one of them. But it is what it is. You can go ahead and check it out for yourself. Next up.
All right. Meet the cast of the new Mortal Kombat movie. The upcoming Mortal Kombat reboot, produced by James Wan, will be R-rated and feature gory fatalities. And it started to fill out its cast of ferocious fighters. It's been announced that Mekad Brooks is Jackson Jax Briggs.
Which I feel like he's too clean. I mean, granted, I've seen him. Some people know him as Jimmy Olsen in Supergirl, but then I think he just also left that show. I mean, he's off that show now.
Okay. We have Chin Han as Shang Tsung. He's from The Dark Knight. Oh, I remember him from The Dark Knight now.
Mm-hmm.
He was one of the bad guy businessmen.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Hiroyuki Sanada as Scorpion. Get over here. That's pretty cool. He was actually in Endgame. I think he was one of the Yakuza that Hawkeye was killing.
Yes.
Tadanobu Asano as Raiden. He played Hogun. Thor in the Thor movies. Oh, I was happy to see.
Yeah. Also, that last guy was in Lost in Westworld, so some people probably wouldn't know that last name from those people, which I have not seen. So next up,
gotcha.
I mean, but the dude's Raiden. We definitely see what happened to him in the Thor movie.
Right. Let's see. CC Stringer is cast as Melina. There's nothing here in the article about where she's been seen previously.
Yeah,
You'd have to
so
look
she's
her up.
brand new. Sounds like.
Right. Ludi Lin as Liu Kang. He's a Power Ranger.
He was in that movie, because it's that last movie specifically.
Right. Oh, he's a movie Power Ranger, not
Right.
a TV Power Ranger.
Right.
Let's see. Joe Taslim as Sub-Zero. So this is the dude from Fast Six, who was fighting with Brian O'Connor, aka aka Paul Walker, most of the movie.
Yeah, which hey, it's James Wan. Of course, he was going to pull from projects he's done, and also he's from The Raid. Most people would know that name from The Raid. So, which is a movie I still need to see.
Right. No, it's good. But definitely you would remember him as the Asian bad guy from Fast Six.
I don't know. I feel like it's a toss up. I bet you more people probably know him from The Raid than that. Than the Fast Series.
I was about to say they probably have in the Venn diagram of people who would know both.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure there is a pretty big intersection of the two.
It's a perfect circle. Yes.
So we have Josh Lawson as Kano. He's from House of Lies, apparently.
Okay.
Jessica McNamee as Sonya Blade. She has done. I'm not sure. Have to look her up on IMDb. Lewis Tan in an undisclosed role.
She was in the Meg.
Okay, she was in the Meg.
Yeah.
And Lewis Tan in an undisclosed role. He is formerly of Deadpool 2 and more recently of Netflix's Wu Assassins.
Which I need to finish.
And Max Huang as Kung Lao. This is he's actually done some stunt work in lots of movies you might recognize, like Kingsman: The Secret Service, Jackie Chan's The Foreigner, and Hitman: Agent 47. And that is it for the list.
Yeah, that's ran it all down. So yeah, some of those names are more known than others, and some of in properties we've seen and or liked. So the cast looks good. Just from what I could tell. I mean, I don't know. Or at least because if you're watching the video, you've seen me scroll down as Agent 7 was talking about it, and I don't know. Jack's aside, like I like McCad Brooks. I don't know. Was how they portray him, but the side by side there, so they basically have the pictures of the people and then their character they're playing, and I realized they're pulling from different Mortal Kombats also, so. So the old grizzled Mortal Kombat Jax from 11 is, if that's who he's playing, it's not a great likeness. But hey, like that, I like McCad. He's all right. But will this movie be fast and or furious? That's the real question. I was waiting.
Hold on. Are you waiting for this?
No, you didn't. It didn't deserve that, really. It really didn't deserve that. But thank you anyway. Next up, I believe that is me. Noah makes his animated debut in Secret History of Venom short. So there was a new Spider-Man Maximum Venom video that showcases the history of the same symbiotes, including their dark god Null. So you can check that out on Marvel HQ YouTube channel. Next.
All right, next up, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. stars celebrate the series finale by breaking down the show's legacy. You can read this article. The last two-part episode of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Aired last night, Wednesday evening here in the U.S. And apparently the characters, essentially, spoiler alert for anyone who hasn't watched it yet, they each got their own versions of a happy ending, and that's actually something that is welcome news. I know that lots of articles have posited that it was a good thing for Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. to break away from the MCU continuity and to go their own route, and it seems like they have apparently created their own timeline.
Right. We talked about it last week.
We have right now that we have the concept of multiverses and multiple timelines in the MCU, the agents have created their own because apparently where they end up is in the present day, and in the blip timeline they would still be in the middle of the blip and it wouldn't be such a happy-go-lucky time. So congrats to the Agents of Shield people for going their own way, forging their own path, blazing their own path, and and telling good stories for these characters. I fell off, honestly. I'm one of those people that did not appreciate them not linking closer with the MCU, but now that I understand that it seemed to work out for the better, I may circle back and watch the episodes now that they're probably going to be on some form of streaming. So
I would hope they're going to be on Disney Plus after they get off of. I think they were
Netflix.
on Hulu.
No, they're on Netflix.
They were on Hulu, but
season, right, the current season would be on Hulu, but the previous seasons would be on Netflix.
Right, they are. Yes, and yeah, I think I fell off because of falling behind and them it being on Hulu, the current season being on Hulu, because I kind of
not willing to wait. I understand.
Well, no, not messing with Hulu, basically.
Not willing to wait for it to hit Netflix.
I mean, at this point,
because I believe Netflix is caught up. I believe they have 6 seasons.
They do have 6 seasons, but I'm saying at the time when because
I
was pretty much caught up to like season 4, to the end of season 4, and then after that I kind of fell off because of Hulu.
Gotcha. Yeah, I chose not to. I chose for the aforementioned reasons, I chose not to keep up. But I think maybe now, especially in quarantine,
it's a good show. People shitted on it.
Just circle back, right? I might just circle back and watch some of these episodes, or at least pick up from where I left off and see how things have progressed since.
Right. I debated about I'm just like at this point I still fully remember what last happened, but I'm like, I could probably go back and do the whole thing at this point, but I'm like, no, I got way too many shows that I need to finish and catch up on, so I may just do the same and just catch up from where I am. Anyway, next up, Disney Plus now features a dedicated X-Men section. Yay. So yeah, they've got X-Men movies on there, but they have their own little section now, just like in real life, but just like in comics, they have their own little section of the uniform. And there's not that much there. It's like the stuff that's been there, and it's also like the 20th anniversary of like the original X-Men or something like that. I was gonna say X-Men First Class is on there, but that's not true. However,
not all of the new movies and not all of the old movies are on there.
Right, which doesn't make any sense. So basically, out of the original trilogy of movies, just the first one is on there, and the other 2 are not. And then Days of Future Past and Apocalypse on there, which I still haven't seen because I didn't, I wasn't trying to go down that route. But also X-Men the animated series, which we do have some news on shortly, and the Wolverine X-Men and X-Men Evolution, which I think I might start up now that I finished a rewatch of X-Men TAS, because I never finished X Evolution.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It was like, because I think I started watching and it was like, yeah, okay, reading, sure. But anyway, it says it says here that the Wolverine, which will be coming to Disney Plus on September 4th.
Right, it's all part of the slow rollout.
Yeah.
And it's hard to blame Disney Plus because to certain people this will be new content. So there's nothing, there's really. If there is a semblance of a plan, it's just a slow rollout to just constantly keep feeding somewhat new content into the apps to keep people coming back for more. I know that I believe Ant-Man and the Wasp is supposed to drop on the 14th. Technically today at this point, but it's been off of Netflix, I believe, for a week or 2. So I think there was just like the briefest of a hiatus in between leaving Netflix and joining Disney Plus. So we'll soon have, if not already have, Ant-Man and the Wasp on Disney Plus. Anyway, moving on. Next up, we have the New Mutants have a new teaser. There's a latest teaser from Josh Boone, and it shines a spotlight on Anya Taylor-Joy's magic and her impressive abilities. So that's pretty cool. Take a look at that when you get a chance.
I've one. I thought one. Ant-Man and Wasp is not on there yet, but yeah.
No, but
And
it's supposed to be the 14th,
I
so it
know,
could be.
but I'm saying I was about to
Yeah,
say
no, what I was gonna say is 3 hours behind.
it's way out because it's almost
No,
yeah.
3 hours behind
Oh
on the
wait,
West Coast.
it's
Gotta
just yeah, that's right. It just turned to 14th. I was about to say something different.
right,
Yeah. So yeah, it'll
right.
probably be on in a couple hours.
Yep.
As of this
Yep, I was
recording.
about to say because it's got to be a West Coast. It's because it's got to
Yeah.
turn the 14th on the West Coast for it to take effect.
Happy birthday
So
to my cousin Natalie, by the way. Who will probably never see this or hear this. So yeah, look out for that. But probably by the time you hear this, if you're watching, listen to the audio version, it'll more than likely be up there.
yep, pretty much.
Next up, yeah. So I was gonna say about this New Mutants thing. One, I still concede that is a very good pick for Magic because she's got the look, and I did not watch this little teaser video, but I imagine if it's some of the same stuff that we've been seeing in the trailers, yeah, sure, it works out. It works out. But you can too if you go to the link on the show notes, you can check out the tweet if you haven't already. Next up, X-Men the Animated Series revival has been discussed, and apparently it is up to Disney. So the producers of X-Men the Animated Series have confirmed discussions about a possible revival of the beloved cartoon, and said that the ball is now in Disney's court. Speaking during the Wizard World panel, producer and director Larry Houston said he'd quote unquote made conversation with Disney about bringing X-Men the Animated Series back, and the Lord knows y'all have seen them out there on Twitter, and the rabid fandom therein, talking back and forth with folks. We've had talks, but that's about it. We've made conversation, and it's up to them to make the decision. And again, this fan base that's out there on Twitter is going to be putting pressure on Disney, and being probably obnoxious about it in some cases. Anyway, but we've let them know that we're available for whatever they want to do in the future. And I feel like that was probably a calculated move, but that's fine. And at this point, the only thing I would have to say was like, I'm kind of curious because if the voice cast are all still around, which I have no reasons to believe that there wouldn't be, where would they go and what would they do? I mean, obviously there's a whole lot to pull from now, but they were kind of going a certain direction, especially with the team that they had um, in the series. So I don't know. I don't know if you have any thoughts on that or not, but never know.
Yeah.
Next up, then.
Next up, nearly 42 years since the first ever Star Wars holiday special debuted in 1978, Lucasfilm has announced a brand new holiday special set to make its way to Disney Plus on Tuesday, November 17th, which is the same day that the first special aired on CBS back in 78. However, this time, the beloved Star Wars characters will be featured in their Lego versions as they take on a Christmas Carol-like style, with Rey and BB-8 going down memory lane to revisit some of the franchise's key moments. That's pretty funny.
Yeah, and you can also see the original version of the holiday special out there on YouTube somewhere. If it's not on, I don't think it's on Disney Plus. It may or may not be. I should probably look real quick, but nevertheless, and of course, this came out and people were like, "Oh God, why did you?" And there were even some folks who were saying, like, 2020 couldn't get any worse. That kind of hyperbolicness. Which, to be fair, that original one was terrible. It was bad. Even as a young kid at the time, I was like, "Okay, this is cool." No, this was not that great.
But I don't think I've ever seen it.
I've seen it. You can watch it for yourself. Like I said, it's out there. Like I said, at the time when you're like, what, 3 or 4, of which I probably was, it was like, hey, it's Star Wars and all these people, or actually, wait, I was about 5 or 6. But anyway, regardless, seeing all the people that was in the thing and all that kind of good mess was like, cool, but it was not great. It was not great. Anywho, next up. Disney has, I do love this title, Disney has no Fox left to give as it renames TV studio to 20th Century. So they took the Fox out of the 20th Century Fox logo, folks, because it's Disney.
Mm-hmm.
We're in weird times now, folks. But here we are. Next up.
So there is a preview out of The Rock, aka Dwayne Johnson. Johnson's long-awaited turn as the DC anti-hero Black Adam. Uh, the Rock. I love how this article keeps calling him Dwayne Johnson. I'm like, that's The Rock.
Yeah, I mean,
Shared
that's
a
what he's
new
going
promo.
by.
What's that?
I was like, yeah, that's what he's going by more now. So
Right, because that's his real name. He shared a new promo for DC Entertainment's upcoming online fan event, DC Fandom, providing a look at the all-star cast assembling for the 24-hour event slated for August 22nd. At the end of the promo comes an ominous teaser promising a first look at Johnson as Black Adam, with the figure seen standing at a distance while shrouded in darkness. Okay.
yeah, next up we have whoops. Oh crap! What did I do? DC Fandom releases massive. Wait, let me make sure I didn't click off something that I intended to do. Sorry, folks. Yes, that's right. DC Fandom releases massive lineup of talent and special guests for the virtual event. I will not go through all of it, but it's probably names that you will know from stuff that's coming out and past places. But there's apparently Robert Pattinson, Gal Gadot, Linda Carter, hey, and Venus Williams are amongst the names listed on the roster of talent and special guests. You can see said list here, which apparently was in a Twitter video. It's a bunch of people. Like I said, you probably know most of them, and I would expect a lot of them. Oh, Gabriel Piccolo, cool. Next up.
Next up, comic writer Grant Morrison opened up about the script he penned for The Flash with the film's titular star, Ezra Miller. Apparently, it had a Back to the Future vibe, in short.
I mean, considering they're supposed to be doing Flashpoint, sure, why? Okay, yeah. Next up, Legends of Tomorrow's Stars, Legends of Tomorrow's Astra will return as a series regular for season 6. This would probably be a time for Agent 70 to do Who, but I'll save them the trouble. Season 5's finale of Legends of Tomorrow saw the willful departure of Amaya and the forceful removal of Sarah from the Wave Rider, but at least one character still sticking around to come season 6. Olivia Swan plays Astra, who will return as series regular when the show resumes in 2021, a title that she has held since last year. In the season 5 finale, Astra returns John Constantine's soul, coined to him and departed to live a normal life on Earth. So, okay. Next up,
while the CW's Arrowverse shows may have hit a snag during the coronavirus pandemic, The Flash and Supergirl are celebrating their impending returns with a set of comic book inspired posters. Heroes will be reborn.
I know, I thought that same thing.
Right. Flash's Twitter account wrote in a post accompanying an image of Iris West standing in front of a panel of shattered glass, along with panels of her comic book counterpart and the Flash himself. Okay.
Yeah, and there's also a couple other posters of other people, or at least, excuse me, one other person of apparently someone's going to be in Supergirl, who I'm still not caught up on either one of those, so I don't know. But yeah, that Heroes Will Be Reborn thing kind of made me twitch for a second. Next up, Jason Bateman to direct superhero novel adaptation Superworld for Warner Brothers. Jason Bateman is teaming up with Mark Perez for a Warner Brothers film about superheroes, with one crucial twist on the formula. The movie will adapt the novel Superworld, which is set in a future world in which every person has a special gift or power, but centers on the sole exception, Ignatius Lohman, which pretty much sounds like his Arrested Development character's name, or a character name from that show. Anyway, his lack of superhuman abilities turns him into an advantage when he's faced with a villain whose power is to neutralize others' powers. So apparently, it's been out on Audible, and it'll be coming out somewhere, possibly Netflix at some point. Next.
All right. Future Umbrella Academy comic books may use elements from the show. So the adaptation on Netflix of Gerard Way and Gabriel Ba's Dark Horse comic book is in its second season, and showrunner Steve Blackman has moved the story in some surprising directions that don't exactly line up with the comic book source material. However, Wei and Ba apparently will incorporate some of the new ideas Blackman and his writing team have come up with into future Umbrella Academy comic stories. That's according to showrunner Steve Blackman. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's it's a lot like how the MCU influences the ongoing comic books.
Right. Basically.
Have you watched the Umbrella Academy at all?
I know people who have. I have not myself.
I've heard good things about it.
Yeah.
I have it on my list of things to watch.
Same. Yeah. Matter of fact, I was just talking to somebody like last night, the night before last, rather, and they were like, "Yeah, second season's a little, but the first season had so much promise." And I, as far as I know, this person, they're not that big on the comics, but they were enjoying the show up to season 2.
Right.
Speaking of the Umbrella Academy, the Umbrella Academy unleashes a hallway fight scene to rival Daredevil. Which, okay, sure. So this is a spoiler for season 2, which is now on Netflix. Second season of the Umbrella Academy does something the first only rarely did. It allowed its main characters the chance to cut loose. In the Netflix first series, the only character who got to use his powers of, I won't go any further since I know you are going to do it, and this is going to kind of go into some spoilers territory.
All right.
But basically, they get into some stuff, and the characters are able to cut loose, and apparently there's a hallway fight. Next up.
The Steven Spielberg-backed Animaniacs reboot has a premiere date. First announced in 2018, the series has already received a 2-season order. Each season will comprise 13 episodes, full of the usual Warner sibling mania. The first episode of the new Animaniacs will premiere on Hulu on November 20th, with the second season airing in 2021. Cool. I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, but it's going to be on Hulu, and that sucks.
There are ways around that.
Yeah, I know. They're Annnnnd, totally insane. Dana Delaney. There's a whole thing. There's a whole video out there about that goes through that whole thing, and it's enjoyable. Next up, from Star Trek Corner of the Universe, Noah Hawley's film is in danger, maybe in danger rather, due to its space pandemic storyline. Yeah, that was good thinking there. But then who knew, right? Legion and Fargo creator Noah Hawley's planned Star Trek movie appears to be in danger at the Paramount, seemingly due to the plot point that the studio does not think would go over in this climate, given the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic.
Oh, SpaghettiOs.
Oh wait, did we freeze again?
Looks like we're gonna have a 3-part episode this week.
Oh,
Holy
God.
cow!
Can you hear me?
We went frozen.
Can you hear me? You cannot hear
That's
me.
crazy.
Oh God. He can't hear me, folks.
Each time when Roddy Cat was talking too.
Okay, I don't know what he's trying to say about with that, but all right.
I'm sure he hears me now.
Yes.
I'm keeping it G, don't worry. Rated G, that is.
Ain't nothing but a G thing, baby. Anyway, he can't hear me, so crap. What did we do last time? What is going on? All right, folks. So we're gonna do this again. I'm hoping. I don't know what's going on here, so I'm going to kill Skype and see what happens. Damn it all to hell, man. Edit point. I love edit points. Bear with us, folks. Hopefully this will I'll do this. Hopefully we will get back up and running in a second. I don't know what's going on. You will not hear this if you're watching the audio. You may not be hearing this if you're on the live version. I don't know. So we're just waiting for 187 to come back on Skype, I think. Oh, never mind. Oh my God. Bear with us, folks.
You there?
Yeah, I'm here. I don't know. It's not picking up though. On
I was about to
voice.
say, I realized I was also calling Tim and Doug. I was like, oh,
Yeah,
whoops.
I saw
My
that.
bad, guys.
I saw that. Here, let me see something here. Let me see if I can change my. No. Oh, weird. It's not picking up on. Oh wait, say something.
Check one, check two.
Say something else.
Check one, check two. Check one, check two.
Okay, cool. Yeah, that seems to be doing a thing. Oops. All right, I forgot. So we're still recording, but I'm muted. Oh no, I'm not muted actually. And I think you're coming across. So actually,
I wonder if we need to just move to Zoom.
I don't know.
You know, I mean, not today, but like for the near future.
Right. Well, I don't know. Let me make sure. I'm going to hold on a second. Let me do a wipe back to there. See if still catching up. Because I think we're still definitely recording, and I think we're still going out on the internet.
Through OBS.
Yes. I'm just trying to see if it's going to catch up. Yep. Okay. Yeah, it's still catching up, and as far as I know, it is still people can still hear it because I don't have. Actually, here, I have to do this real quick. It's going to see some feedback.
I was about to say, do you want to try Meet?
Yeah, it's still catching up, and as far as I know, it is still people can still. Okay. Yeah, we're still recording. No. Let's just do it this way. I mean, we're doing the news, so it's not like we need to see our faces at this point.
Oh, okay.
And yeah, I don't have our faces up when we're doing the news anyway. I will probably have to put a shot together for. Oh no, actually, you know what? Since for the time being, that 2 shot of us being frozen is still up. So
Okay.
for the outro, we'll just use that.
Okay.
And for the ads, it doesn't matter because I don't put our faces up for the ads.
All right, let's rock and roll.
And go. Oh yeah, so
you Noah Hawley.
Yeah. I'm just gonna cut it here so that way I get a clean cut.
Okay.
Noah Hawley's film is in danger due to space pandemic storyline. Legion and Fargo creator Noah Hawley's planned Star Trek movie appears to be in danger at Paramount, seemingly due to the plot that the studio does not think would go over in this climate due to the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic. According to the Hollywood Reporter, Hawley's Star Trek film is currently, quote unquote, on the back burner as Paramount's new motion picture group president Emma Watts assesses the sci-fi franchise's future. And it just kind of goes on from there about that. So yeah, that movie might be up in the air. Next up.
In related news, a new Deadline report has revealed that there are 3 potential movies in the Star Trek franchise's future, including Quentin Tarantino's Star Trek movie, and those are named as possibly being in future installments in the franchise. But as Roddycat just mentioned, it's not all good news. Noah Hawley's step into the final frontier has been put on hold. So,
yeah, and sounds like even with that Tarantino one, he's not been officially attached to direct. So, yeah, go figure on that one. Moving right along, Blazing Saddles is being remade as an animated samurai movie about cats and dogs. So this is not necessarily comic book related, but I thought this was weird. So if y'all of a certain vintage, or even if you're not, because Blazing Saddles is a movie that's kind of, it probably wouldn't play well now, but it's considered a classic. It is a classic. I'll go ahead and still say, even if some of the problematic stuff that's featured in there, it's still a classic. So apparently, this Los Angeles film company, Align, is helping develop an animated film called Blazing Samurai. The film takes the basic premise of Blazing Saddles and transplanting it to the samurai era. The story follows a dog named Hank who dreams of becoming a samurai. When he comes in charge of protecting Kakamucho, he learns that the town is populated entirely by cats. You see where this is going if you've watched Blazing Saddles.
Mm-hmm.
They will more than likely not be "excuse me while I whip this out" joke.
Next up, according to G.I. Joe Origins Snake Eyes star Henry Golding, the upcoming movie isn't your regular superhero adventure.
I mean, well, yeah, by proxy.
Right. Well, they're soldiers.
Yes.
But he claims that it's the exact opposite of the cookie cutter super people movies. Golding wrote on Twitter, "Wow, you guys are in for something insane. I can't wait for you all to get your mitts on this beast. Yowzers." He's literally grinning from ear to ear. Okay, good for him.
That's a little hyperbolic, but he's also the star of the thing, so
Right.
take that with whatever it is. We could use a good Good Joe movie. I have threatened to watch those last two because it came up recently for some reason, and I'm trying to stop myself. Anyway, I believe well, it's not last one, but next to last news in the cinematic front. Netflix Transformers: War for Cybertron Siege heavily altered 3 major Autobots. I put this in here just to talk about this one, and one, it's not. It is absolutely true because like they did do some. Man, Optimus. I don't know what the heck they did to Optimus, but yeah, you watched it all, right? Correct? Because we talked about
Yes,
this. Yeah.
I have watched it.
What did you think of it, real quick?
I kind of was put off a little by the new characterizations of these characters.
Yeah.
Just a little bit. It definitely was weird to see, what's supposed to be a precursor, movie to what we originally saw in the original Transformers animated miniseries and the original introduction of these characters. So, they're claiming that Bumblebee was a certain way before he joined up with the Autobots, and the Autobots were definitely on the losing end of the war for Cybertron leading up to this point. So it was, like I said, a little off-putting, but at the same time, I understood the choices they made.
Right. Yeah. So, and also it's worth noting because this pretty much seemingly takes place like after where the current Transformers book is going. Like it's pretty much heading to that direction from the other way because it started before the Decepticons were even a thing, and even when they talk about in this thing about Megatron and them being miners and whatever the case like all of that is kind of bearing out, and he and Prime being friends centered.
Mm-hmm.
They don't talk about the senator part in this thing, so I don't know. So I'm assuming they're all still playing from the same playbook on the comic front and this situation. I'm not entirely sure. This was done by Rooster Teeth people, and obviously Hasbro has handled it also. And yeah, I'm kind of feeling the same way. Like even but you did see what I told you about the whole Bumblebee thing because we talked about this like after the show last week or week before last, whichever that was, and I was like, I don't know, that's kind of weird. And then there was a choice they made in the middle of it with Bumblebee and a certain thing that he inherits from a character. I'm like, why would you go that way to even introduce that if you're just gonna do this?
It's probably what leads to the character change. To lead. It's not necessarily a natural evolution.
I suppose, but at the same time, like that would still be a stretch because the Bumblebee we got in the '80s cartoon was nowhere near this. So from go to that, even if they were trying to go from that to that would be a big stretch. And even with what he inherited,
but there's still two parts. I was going to say there's still two parts to the series.
I was going to say that, but I still don't feel like they're going to. It seems like they're going to keep a darker tone to it, which is
that's definitely true.
Works. Yeah. There's a couple of other characters that kind of get short shrift or shafted also, but we don't need to go to that. Maybe we could talk about it at some other point. But right now, let's.
I like what they did with Mirage.
I kind of like that because that one kind of made the most sense, especially with the way
cool.
he was portrayed.
I was like, oh, okay, like that's a cool ability.
Well, no, he's had that. He's already had that. It's just that they've only showed it. Yeah, they only showed it with just him doing it.
Right. So.
Yeah,
so they just cool.
Yeah, they just took the kind of the logical step in his abilities, but even
that's what I mean. The expansion upon that particular ability, I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, that was too. But even like the way they had him portrayed, was on point with somewhat on point with how his original was, because he was kind of like, well, actually, he was more of a pacifist, sorta, in the original if I remember correctly. But regardless, all that. But yeah, there were some character things that was like kind of weird. RC just kind of shows up out the blue. I'm like, how you just gonna let her? How you just gonna treat her like that? They treated a couple
because they were putting the stress on a new character.
Well, Lita one's not new.
Oh, she's not?
No.
Oh, okay. See, I'm not as well informed on Transformer lore, so.
Well, so in the original she gets talked about every now and then as being her and Prime are linked. So they do play up on that, but they have given her a lot more background and story with like this and stuff.
That's cool.
Yeah. So she was definitely a character that's been, around, and they've even pulled for some Japanese stuff too. They even pulled from the new movies, for goodness sake, too, because like there was that barricade, or apparently it's from the movie, and they pulled for some Japanese stuff also for some of the characters.
Right.
Like,
yeah. For whatever reason, they keep trying to push barricade. I'm like, stop, Michael Bay, get away from us.
Yeah, and I kind of feel that same way about Bumblebee, but I've already talked about that last week. But overall, this is actually pretty good. Like, yeah, I'm waiting to see what these other two channels. I do wish they would have kept that other one they did though, because there was another web series that was on YouTube that was on. I think it was actually on Machinima, or no, it was on Machinima. I wish they kind of kept that. But,
all right.
But that was not this. Like, there was like that was pretty much the Combiner stuff, like the Devastator and all of them kind of came into play. Maybe they'll bring it back. I don't think so. But this trilogy thing they're doing right now. I feel like that was kind of a part of that, but they pretty much wiped that off the face of YouTube. I don't even know if it's even around. Mm-hmm. But yeah, if you're a fan, and of course the Transformer sounds are there. They're, like I said, the characterizations of sound and some of the other stuff that kind of happens, even motivations. Weirdly enough, to feel like they took some of that from Beast Machines, and even that was kind of like a little iffy. And
not
weird.
Even Beast Wars. I gotcha.
Yeah, like I feel like their motivations kind of feel more like out of Beast Machines than anything. But yeah, it was kind of weird. But it's still
there is a lot of Transformers I am not familiar with. So.
Yeah, so there is. So that being said, so we can keep on going. There is something in the clickbait section, which I thought I put it in the clickbait section, and I didn't, but I will. Article about all of the seemingly random homages to other, basically all of the Transformers that show.
Yeah, the references. I got you. Yeah,
except
for
RC.
I would appreciate reading that because
I'll put it in the show notes. I did pull it to do just that.
Right, I definitely would need some help with that.
Although they didn't put, so RC does show up, and they don't even have it in that article. So that was kind of I like RC. RC was good. They don't show any of the other like later on characters. Like RC was pretty wonderful, and they even go so far. Well, that's a spoiler. So if y'all haven't seen it by this point, because the thing's been out a couple of weeks, they do go lengths to kind of get back to to get to the beginning,
where G1 is.
Where G1 is, yeah. So, okay. And I was kind of wondering if they were actually going to pull it off in the end of that, because it's like, wait, these people are still kind of. Oh wait, okay, they took care of that. So, cool. Although there was one that seemed like that was with them that didn't make the ship, but this character probably came on later on, which makes sense. So, anyway, it's a good look. I am also waiting for the next couple of chapters. Now we're going to pivot over to the comic book news.
I was about to say there's one more movie.
Right. I'm sorry. Oh, shoot. No, you're right. And I thought this was comic book news this night. Go for it.
All right. So in 2018, Netflix announced that it would be producing a live-action Avatar: The Last Airbender series, which would feature Michael Dante DiMartino and Brian Konietzko as showrunners, the duo who created the animated series back in 2005. However, DiMartino revealed they've both stepped away from the project in a recent blog post, as production was not going as planned. Netflix said that it was committed to honoring their vision for this retelling and to supporting them on creating the series, DiMartino wrote. But unfortunately, things did not go as they had hoped. Netflix responded to the blog, and Netflix's statement says, we have complete respect and admiration for Michael and Brian and the story that they created in the Avatar animated series. This was published via The Verge. It continues, although they have chosen to depart the live action project, we are confident in the creative team and their adaptation. Okay. Interesting.
That's probably fun. I'm kind of curious. There's something that's probably not being told, but it's probably for the best, because as we know from that other live action Avatar movie, but that is also M. Night Shyamalan. So some of these live action things don't always go well.
Yep.
All right, so now we are going to pivot over to the comic book news.
That's a shout out to what we were just talking about.
Oh, I didn't even hear it.
Oh no! Oh, you know what? I almost forgot.
So we had to switch over to Hangouts for this last
That's
part.
right. That's right. I've got to change a couple of settings myself. Anyway, you can start with the next story while I get that up and running.
Sure. Invincible animated series sneak peek included in free comic book day title. Invincible fans can get their first look at the upcoming animated series thanks to the free comic book day, which probably is already out at the because this article goes a couple of weeks old. For the event, Skybound and Image Comics released a reprint of the first Invincible comic by Robert Kirkman and Corey Walker. Skybound noted on its official Twitter that the issue would only be available via comic shops. Someone on Twitter posted screen, huh?
I was about to say, just checking. You heard me say that? You hear me speaking now, correct?
I hear you speaking, yes. There we go.
There we go.
All right.
Just a subtle change, folks. Sorry about that. Sorry to interrupt.
It's all good. I was pretty much finished, but basically, some Twitter user posted screenshots of the extra material, and it's probably out there at this point because this was from a couple of weeks ago. Next.
Alrighty, after nearly 2 decades out of print, the first arc of Gen 13, remember that, is coming back in print according to a listing on the book trade database service Edelweiss. In 2021, DC plans to re-release Gen 13, starting over a collection of roughly the first 2 years worth of stories created by J. Scott Campbell, Jim Lee, and Brandon Troy. Okay. Yes. Edelweiss.
I know, right? So if you're missing your don't get enough of your J. Scott Campbell covers, here's a whole book he did.
There you go.
Next up, from Teen Titans Beast Boy, Guard takes on the Carolina Reaper in a new preview. With the original graphic novel now a month away, well, actually probably less than a month away, given when this article was. A sneak peek at a sneak peek at Teen Titans Beast Boy shows Garfield Logan taking on the Carolina Reaper challenge, because Gar loves to do it for the gram.
Okay.
So, and you can see a preview here and check that out. And it's probably going to be out in a couple of weeks, not at this point, because since they said a month, and this article is slightly old. Next up.
All right, so apparently an Arrowverse hero is hiding something big from Superboy Jonathan Kent. This is
a person that's been in the comics also. There's not a strictly Arrowverse person.
Right. I had to go into the second paragraph to see which character this is, and it is a character introduced in the Arrowverse, but as Roddycat mentioned, it is a longtime comic book character, a longtime member of the Legion of Superheroes. It is Mon-El, the Daxamite. So he's got something to hide, and we'll find out what that is.
Yeah, if you're reading that book, because neither one of us are. DC,
exactly.
DC gives Bruce Wayne and Catwoman a new introduction. So this is spoilers for Batman Gotham Knights number 15, which I believe just came out this week. Or last week, I don't remember. Either way, it's out probably. Batman and Catwoman's relationship has always been on one of the most important aspects of both their lives, especially in recent years. Despite this, the canon pair of them have bickered over how they actually met in the current history of the DC universe. And while Batman Gotham Knights isn't strictly canon, it does have a surprisingly clever idea of how the pair actually met. And if you really care about how that is, you can read the rest of the article. Next up.
All right, next up, these are spoilers for Deceased Dead Planet number 2. This is the next issue of Tom Taylor and Trevor Hairston's series. This is based off of the original Deceased, where a technological version of the anti-life equation destroys almost all life on Earth. Essentially, Zatanna tells... What's that? Right, zombies. And Zatanna tells Fire to flame off and apparently that kills her. So, spoilers out there, folks.
Yeah, but of course it's Zatanna, so she had to do it backwards. Next up, the Flash heading towards something really big within DC mythology, quote unquote. That's been building for 4 years. So we do know that Joshua Williamson is exiting the Flash book at some point. Actually, within what 6 issues, 5-6 issues, because I think the new issue just came out, and I think that's the start of this. Yeah, Williamson's run on The Flash ends on with September 22nd, 762. But the writer has revealed to Newsarama, aka Games Radar, that he's getting a victory lap of sorts with Dark Knight's Death Metal tie-in one-shot Speed Metal, also unsealed September 22nd. But it says here that in the current arc, Finish Line, Barry Allen reunites with the Flash family as they battle towards Eobon Thorn. And if you don't want to get, well, I'm not gonna, because this is basically the rest of this is a interview with Joshua Williamson about that stuff, and I did kind of get a glimpse of what's happened in the recent into this week's book, even though I'm not really reading it. So, yeah. Next up,
I was about to say,
Excellent.
I forgot to play that when I was talking about death metal.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, we have some tough news to report in the midst of the COVID-19 pandemic. Although whether or not that was truly a reason behind this news, we don't know. On Monday, Warner Media laid off several members of the DC Universe app and DC Comics editorial. The layoffs have affected a significant number of high-level figures at comic book powerhouse DC. Multiple sources tell The Hollywood Reporter and several other media outlets. Among those said to be losing their positions are Editor-in-Chief Bob Harris, Senior VP of Publishing Strategy and Support Services Hank Canals, VP of Marketing and Creative Services Jonah Weiland, formerly of CBR, VP Global Publishing Initiatives and Digital Strategy Bobby Chase, formerly of Marvel, Senior Story Editor Brian Cunningham, and Executive Editor Mark Doyle, who oversaw the rollout of the Black Label graphic novels. Jim Lee remains the CCO, but may not remain the publisher. There are several shoes that still have to drop.
Yeah, this has been a big thing over the last couple of days. And people are talking about this is a bad, as we said earlier before the show, like, yeah, this was kind of a bad time to do this, especially given the DC fandom thing coming up, which may or may not have anything to do with, like, I think what you just said.
Right. That's just that's an added complication, really, because DC fandom is coming up next week, and is it next week, the 22nd? Oh, it's the 20th. Oh, so it's a little bit further than a week away, but still, yeah. It's coming up, and it's at the very least awkward timing.
Yeah,
for this to happen before DC's version of a summer Comic Con.
Right. Also worth noting, though, like, granted, the fact that it happened is still a big, a lot of people lost their jobs, and hopefully people, will be able to go out gracefully or land somewhere else, because
and recover. Right, yeah. Exactly.
Especially during these days and times. But I was just going to say that this has kind of been a thing that's been up in the air for a minute. Like, we've been, there's been rumors and rumbling, especially once HBO Max became a thing, but even before then, like, within probably the last year, I would say, probably, the fate of DC under AT&T and Warner Brothers. So we, this is kind of something that that's probably was going to happen at some point. We just did not know when, how, or if, or how bad it was going to be. I feel like.
Got it.
But yeah, and the article, there's an article from a source here that's saying something about DC Universe and its position and things from a source. We don't know if that's actually true, it's just some source. But yeah, condolences to everybody that's affected by this over at DC, because this is kind of a big blow. But next up, Unless you got something else.
No. Go
Okay.
ahead. This is you.
Oh yeah. Greg Rucka and Brian Business teach comic book writing in the latest round of Hero Initiative Pro Fan Experiences, along with some other folks. 3 comic book classes. Damn you, auto playing video. Make up half of the Hero Initiative's latest Pro Fan live experiences. Line up, the proceeds of which go to the organization's mission of helping comic book creators in medical or financial need. Brian Michael Bendis returns for a 4th quote-unquote semester of his comic book writing class, open to 25 would-be comic writers. Also, Greg Rucka is conducting his first class, and let's see, Matt, a few other people we don't necessarily, but I feel like we've talked about some of the names involved with this before. But you can check out the rest of the article if you had not recognized that. Next up.
Alrighty. Next up, Suicide Squad game in the works from Batman Arkham maker Rocksteady. So there's set to be a full announcement from Rocksteady that a Suicide Squad game is in development. The full announcement is coming within the next 2 weeks.
Yeah,
it's been teased. Right, it's been teased in a movie style poster tweet on this past Friday morning.
Yeah. So this is going to be an announcement at Fandom, and this seems more, especially since it's coming from Rocksteady, a more confirmed. This is more confirmed than rumors in the past, because there's been rumors of this game and a Superman game and other games in the past. So yeah, we'll see when the official announcement comes out. Speaking of DC video game properties, Injustice 3 featuring the Watchmen has been seemingly teased by Boss Logic. Now we know Boss Logic, but he does mock up some stuff that seems true and could be likely, but doesn't necessarily always pan out to be an actual thing. But in this case, well, actually, not even in this case. This is probably Boss Logic puts up a treatment for an Injustice 3 logo on Twitter, and it says, technically it's Injustice 3 with the 3 as an E, but I can't bring myself to type more than that. So we don't know if it's just another one of his treatments, or this is something that's actually in the works that could be possibly announced. We do know a lot of people want an Injustice 3, including myself. But it says here, it's not entirely clear if this is official, obviously, but Boss Logic has done a lot of official artwork for games, including in the Assassin's Creed Valhalla reveal, plenty of Street Fighter art. There's also a little matter of DC's upcoming Fandom event on the 22nd. So we'll see. I'm not entirely sure about it because Mortal Kombat 11 is kind of it's been out for a minute, but it's kind of still kicking around. So I don't know if NetherRealm would be that ready to start up on Injustice. Granted, it'll be the same engine and some of the same background stuff that just need, and there is even like the Jokers in Mortal Kombat 11 at this point, going back the other way. So it's possible they could very much turn around. We just don't know if it's something's going to happen. By the way, there's people talking about a Def Jam game, which we still hadn't seen any news for. That's not comic book news, but I would want that if it is actually something.
Okay.
So another Def Jam fighting game. Next up.
Alrighty, next up. All the video game stuff in the way. All right. Remember when toys were fun? Hasbro's $575 Unicron figure takes almost an entire hour to transform. This is one of the HasLab. This was the HasLab projects that was funded. Shout out to the Sentinel that I'm still on the fence on, but leaning against getting because I don't want to pay for 3 of them. That's a little tough, but it managed. The Unicron found 8,000 backers that put it into production, and apparently it takes a long time to transform, as this article already stated.
Right? Wasn't this the first HasLab's funded thing?
Yeah, but these things take a while.
Yeah.
To put into production.
Yeah.
So I remember seeing the Unicron at was it last year's New York Comic Con?
Yeah, we talked about it when they first showed it.
Had to be. No, but I got a picture of it.
Right.
I saw it in the Hasbro booth.
Mm-hmm.
So I definitely saw it, on display in one of the glass cases, and it was pretty impressive. Definitely got pictures of it. Just an anecdote, just in related news, as I mentioned, the HasLab Sentinel won't go into production until next year, and won't be out, street dated, won't be sent out to backers until the fall of next year. So it does take a while for it to to get the tooling together, get that all the production going.
Right, and I believe the stretch goals kind of is adding to that because of what they said. So I can't remember. You would know better. Next up, though, Marvel's Avengers gets cosmetic bonuses on PS4 and PS5. So it's not just your Spider-Man that's going to be exclusive to Sony systems, according to this article. Marvel's Avengers has been teasing PlayStation exclusive content and recently announced that everyone's favorite wall-crawler Spider-Man will be only available to PS4, PS5. Let's see, as detailed on the PlayStation blog, each time a new hero launches, PlayStation players will get a 30-day exclusive access to one of their legendary outfits, emotes, epic takedowns, and nameplates. Okay, so that's not as bad, but people are still grousing about some of this stuff. That includes each of the launch heroes. Oh, never mind. Along with any post-launch heroes like Hawkeye. In addition, PlayStation Plus members will get a free bundle alongside the launch of any new hero. That bundle includes a rare outfit, nameplate, and 100 credits. At launch, you will get a Ms. Marvel bundle. So, kind of sucks to be on Xbox at this point. But, that's kind of how video games have been working. Worth notice that beta access is going on right now for, actually this weekend is the Xbox PC closed beta. Next week will be open beta for all consoles. The PS4 was last weekend and people were on it. I was not going to buy that game just to get into the beta, knowing I was going to buy the game anyway at launch, even if I had the money. So yeah, there we go, folks. Next up.
All right, next up, Null, the titular King in Black of Marvel's upcoming Venom-centric crossover event, is bringing an apparent army with him to Earth, and rather than the Clintar symbiotes one might expect, the winged bat-like creatures featured in Marvel Comics' latest teaser for the event bear more of a resemblance to DC's parademons, the flying minions of Darkseid, in Jack Kirby's Fourth World mythos. Okay.
Nice. X-Men finally unmask Weapon 15 after 17 years. Haha. And this is a spoiler from Giant Size X-Men Phantom X, which we talked about last week. But I'm pretty sure we didn't mention, but it's fine.
Right. I didn't realize it was the first time they were unmasking him.
Yeah. So, whoever if you know who Ultimaton is, then there you go. And if you watched the video, you just saw it. So, moving right along.
In interesting news,
kinda.
I thought this was really interesting. Yeah. No, because of the creator, because of the creator combination.
Oh, I know. But I will.
Because U.S. Agent is returning in a new Marvel series from Christopher Priest of all people.
Mm-hmm.
John Walker, the man who once replaced Steve Rogers as Captain America, is returning to his own title under his classic moniker, U.S. Agent. And he's once again following in Steve Rogers' footsteps, this time in a very different way. It's written by Christopher Priest. Welcome back to Marvel. With art from Stefano Landini. U.S. Agent launches with a story entitled American Zealot, in which Walker departs his service to the U.S. government. Interesting to see how Priest will take on the character of John Walker.
Yeah, so folks know I am a big fan. A lot of us are on the show. Big fans of Priest.
James Owsley.
Yeah, people still do that. But yeah, we're fans of Priest here. So on that respect, I'm like, okay, I want to read this because it's Priest. but it's also a U.S. agent, and I can't stand U.S. agents. I don't like U.S. agents. I have said this many times, but I'm probably going to read this.
U.S. agent is definitely commentary on several aspects of American political life, American philosophy, since his introduction.
Yeah, he's right.
Under Mark Grunwald back in the day. You know,
Yeah.
what's funny is that I never realized that I have his first appearance. It's kind of funny.
Oh, do you?
He's in the I didn't realize that his first appearance was in the whatchamacallit, the anniversary border issue of Captain America.
Oh, I might have that.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. The 25th anniversary.
Right, exactly. It's kind of funny that he appeared there, and I just don't remember him. I remember him later when he became a candidate for replacing Cap with those great Mike Zeck covers. So, but anyway,
he was a shitty Cap, and he was an even worse U.S. agent.
What's that?
He was a shitty Cap, and he was an even worse U.S. agent.
There you go. I don't disagree. I will just say that this particular creative team, especially with Chris Priest writing this, definitely piques my interest to see how they treat this character. Definitely interesting.
Yeah, like I gotta check it out because it's Priest. But like I said, I'm just, this would probably be the closest thing you'll find for me getting a hate read. And I hate I even hate that term.
Right, but the thing is, it's the creative team. Yeah, it's the creative team that definitely piques your interest.
Absolutely.
You know, it was nice to see Priest back in comics after a long hiatus. You know, he was on
Deathstroke run. Was good.
What's that?
That Deathstroke run was good.
Yeah, exactly. After that Deathstroke run got a lot of positive reviews, it's nice to see him doing other stuff. So cool.
So it says here, U.S. Agent #1 is due out in November, and yeah, this is solicitations aren't officially out yet, but they're coming soonish, probably in the next couple of days, or as of this recording, probably in the next couple of days. But regardless, there you go. Black Cat brings back a menacing Spider-Man villain. So this is about, Black Cat #12, which we talked about last week, and Agent 70 was more right than I was about this. But then again, I was not really knowing. So apparently, that person that we saw in the last page of the book is called the Cat Queen, Lily Hollister. And spoilers, which we've already rung the spoiler bell. I will probably put the tag on it before this thing anyway. I should probably do that anyway, just on principle. But Lily Hollister was introduced in J. Michael Straczynski's and Joe Quesada's Amazing Spider-Man 545. As One More Day transitioned into Brand New Day. Yeah. Lily, the daughter of an important politician, was romantically involved with Harry Osborn. I apologize if I scared anybody. With Harry Osborn before she eventually stumbles upon directions to a Green Goblin hideout and spills an experimental version of the Goblin formula onto herself. So apparently that's who this person was. And I guess she became Menace, was her name, looks like.
Right. I remember her as Menace. I don't remember her as the Queen Cat.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if that's like the article writer calling her that, or if that was what she went by. So
yeah, that was wild.
Yeah.
That makes me want to Google that, man.
Yeah, I think I almost did, but I was like, well, obviously there is no more Black Cat, but probably whenever it gets taken back up again. Yeah. Anyway, next up.
Oh, wait, hold on. Apparently, this happened a while ago. Oh yeah, no. Oh geez. This character first appeared.
Well, yeah, I already mentioned that, but.
No. The whatchamacallit, as the Queen Cat.
Oh.
Back in 2008.
Oh, weird.
Wow. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm like, oh, okay. Neither of us recognized it. Probably. I recognize her more as Menace, to be honest. You know, when she was kind of like a pseudo Green Goblin. That's wild.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
Goblin Nation, was this? No, I was thinking Spider Island. Never mind. I'm thinking of something totally different. So.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to like maybe go through God, I was gonna say go through my comic archives in the drawer boxes,
Mm.
but there's Marvel Unlimited.
Yeah, exactly. What are you doing?
So I was gonna dig in the back issues, which I still can do, but yeah, I can just check Marvel Unlimited for this after the show.
Yeah.
All right, next up, in the new reboot, or at least back to basics reboot, under the watchful eye of Christopher Cantwell and Cafu, of Iron Man. Tony Stark is going to be brought back to basics in a sense, getting his hands dirty and taking on much more concrete level threats. It's not all nitty gritty, along with some classic Marvel villains like Arcade and Absorbing Man. Iron Man's going to take on the classic cosmic villain Korvac and tangle with the one-time Herald of Galactus Terrax, and he's also going to cross paths with 70s Marvel icon Hellcat and 90s vigilante Cardiac. Interesting.
I was about to say Hellcat is still running around. What is he talking about? But okay.
What do you mean?
Patsy Walker?
Right, no, but it says he's going to cross paths with her.
Yeah, no. I'm like, it makes it sound like she ain't been around in a while. Like, no, she's kind of been around in the last few years.
I was about to say, if you follow Cafu on social media, he's been posting some art with Iron Man and Hellcat in it, so it's pretty cool.
Cool. Yeah, I like Cafu's art. He's good. Also worth noting, and I shouldn't have to say this again, but this is the Halt and Catch Fire Christopher Cantwell, and not the white supremacist.
I'm still like, there's a good reason why I don't know of the latter and only of the former.
Well, if you Google his name, the latter comes up.
Exactly.
Then
it has to, yeah.
Yeah. Well, shouldn't have to, but that's kind of what happens with,
I understand.
Search engine optimization, folks. And people having the same names.
Yep.
Have you tried Googling your name lately, folks? Anyway, next up, let's keep this train rolling by saying Colin Bunn launches Dungeons and Dragons inspired fantasy comic Deepest Catacombs. Writer Colin Bunn, is teaming up with over a dozen artists for Deepest Catacombs, a Dungeons and Dragons inspired fantasy comic that harkens back to the franchise's one-page advertisements if you are elsewhere. Deepest Catacombs will be released online starting the week of August 9th, which means it's already out, as one-page featurettes with a different artist illustrating each page. So you've probably already seen this out there on Twitter or someplace else, because this article is like a week or so old. But Bunn will also make Deepest Catacombs available to read free through his Patreon page. So you can go check that out there. They even got the Redbox homage cover, which is always appreciated. And apparently the new starter kit for Dungeons & Dragons is worth getting if you're new to the game. Anyway, cool.
Next up, just days after winning an Eisner Award for Best New Series, the creator-owned series Invisible Kingdom has been announced to be switching from single issues to a graphic novel model. Following the release of Invisible Kingdom number 10 back in February, the series will continue in the form of an OGN, with the next and final volume due out in the first quarter of 2021. An 11th issue was originally solicited at the beginning of the year for a June 24, 2020 debut, but co-creator artist Christian Ward revealed on Twitter that serialization of the series was being aborted due to COVID-19. The OGN will include what would have been issues 11 through 14, with the artist tweeting that he's already working on the penultimate chapter. Okay, I've never read Invisible Kingdom. Have you?
No, and I was going to say that I thought it was in graphic novel form. If you had told me that, I'd been like, okay, yeah, that makes sense, sure. But
all right,
yeah, I feel like we had gotten like the first issue of that. Now that I think about it, in the box, but I don't remember. I definitely didn't read it. I hadn't intended to though. Anyway, IDW Publishing terminates publisher Judd Myers. IDW Publishing has terminated its recently promoted publisher Judd Myers, and there's excuse me, sorry, autoplaying messages here. I hate it. IDW Publishing has parted ways with Judd Meyer and would like to thank everyone for their discretion, reads the publisher's brief statement on Meyer's termination. Meyer's termination comes 16 days after his promotion to publisher was announced. 5 days after that promotion, he was placed on administrative leave. Doesn't necessarily say why. So these days and times it's probably impropriety, but we can't really say that's actually true. So whatever happened happened. Next up,
Valiant Entertainment relaunched their flagship title XO Manowar back in March 2020, and then COVID-19 happened. Well, the publisher has now booked a return date. XO Manowar number 2 has been scheduled for release November 25th, with writer Dennis Hopeless Hallam and artist Emilio Laizo returning to continue the ongoing series. Good for them.
Yeah. Dennis Hopeless using his actual last name now, because I noticed he started doing that in recent years.
Yep.
In the recent year or two.
Good for getting that back on the schedule.
Yeah, I was about to say, because I feel like I remember when this happened, and it was like, ooh, this is terrible timing.
Yep.
So, but yeah, there you go. None of us read Valiant, so it is. Well, I've read some Quantum Woody, but whatever. Christopher Eccleston, aka Destro, returns as Ninth Doctor for Audio Adventures series.
I was about to say, you mean Malekith?
That also, but you know. But yes, Doctor Who alum Christopher Eccleston will return as the Ninth Doctor in an all-new audio series titled Doctor Who: The Ninth Doctor Adventures from Big Finish Productions and BBC Studios. The new audio adventure series will release as 4 separate box sets, each containing 3 episodes. First box set is scheduled to debut in May 2021. No further details have been released at this time, so the plot is still under wraps. The series writers and additional cast will be announced at a later date, which means there will probably be more articles about trickling out about which one. Quote unquote, after 15 years, it'll be exciting to revisit the Ninth Doctor world, bringing back to life a character I loved playing, except for he left after one season because he didn't want to play it anymore. But yeah, sure. You know, I have thoughts about his Doctor, but I'm not going to do that. This is not the place for that. Next up.
And part of me is just like,
who?
No. Anyway,
shout out to the Whovians.
There you go. In our penultimate story, DC is going to continue to shine a bright spotlight on its new Bat villain Punchline in a just announced 48-page one-shot special in November. The special is written by Batman scribe James Tynion IV and Sam Johns, DC's Crime of Passion, with art by Mirka Andolfo from DC Comics' Bombshells, and will feature covers by Yasmin Putri and Frank Cho. Starring the Joker's new Field General, the special promises to take readers behind the origins of the character that the publisher has given a lot of attention to in 2020.
So yeah, they're making Punchline happen, or trying to make Punchline happen.
They're trying, exactly.
Yeah. Not necessarily the same as Fetch, but we'll see. I know some people don't like her for whatever other reason. But some people don't also like women, but that's all the story. DC reveals Dark Knight's Death Metal number 5 and 2 new specials. This is something that I assume is going to come out, or at least this article is going to come out with the solicitation, since sometimes that stuff trickles out. DC's latest epic multiversal meltdown event, Dark Knight's Death Metal, reaches a pinnacle in this November. And the publisher has revealed early solicitations for a 5th of Dark Metal's 7 issues, for the 5th, in which the Darkest Night, oh Lord, the Darkest Night has conquered the multiverse, along with 2 tie-in issues focusing on the main man himself, Lobo, an evil version of the Super Pets, and more. They're really milking this.
Excellent!
Thank you. And I believe one of those is probably that one shot from Joshua Williamson that we mentioned earlier. And that, folks, is that. We are here at the end of the show, and as we do about this time, we'll set up for another ad read.
Our last ad read of the night is for Blue Apron. Blue Apron's meal delivery service. Fresh ingredients and incredible recipes delivered weekly to your door. Skip the grocery store, and that's what you want to do nowadays, and make incredible meals at home with Blue Apron, always shipped free right to your home. And now the listeners of the Comic Book Chronicles can get $30 off your first Blue Apron order. To place your first order with $30 off and to help keep our show free for you, go to our network website at cspn.us. That's cspn.us. Then click on the Keep Our Podcast Free link at the top of the page. From there, scroll down to the Blue Apron link and sign up for your first order. Blue Apron through cspn.us. Do it today.
Oops. And as we come to the end of another exciting episode of the Comic Book Chronicles with our frozen faces, hopefully into the show up on the screen. Thank you for coming out. Thank you for putting up with our technical issues. If you were here for the live show recording, if you were not and listening to the audio version of this, you don't know what in the world we're talking about. Because I will have probably edited a lot of it out.
There's going to be like 3 links to the show on YouTube this week.
2.
Oh, 2? Okay.
Yeah, because I didn't stop recording the second time, and luckily it didn't stop.
Gotcha.
But again, if you were on the audio version, you wouldn't know that. But guess what, folks? There is an audio version. There's also a video version that usually works fine. But anyway, I have been Roddy Cat. You can find me at Roddy Cat on Twitter. You can find me at News Nerd Sneedy on Twitter. You can find me at CB Caps on Instagram. Wow, I do have a mean mug on the face. I apologize for that in advance. Agent_70 on Twitter and Instagram. PC_Dirt, who was not here, on Twitter, Pop Culture Net on Twitter, popculturenetwork.com, and the umbrella sites therein, and also Byte, assuming that's still a thing, under Comic Reviews, no vowels. Tim, DOGG98 on Twitter, the Osiris of this ish. You can find him there. You can also find him on the KLIQ Nation on Twitter. That's the KLIQ all one word, thekliqnation.com. You can also find him at CB Cron on Twitter, who he mans that site, which I kind of feel like I want to get. No, I'm not doing that. CB Cron on Twitter, that's the Comic Book Chronicles Twitter account. Go over there, say hi, tell them what up, tell us what up. We see all that stuff. You can also go check him out over on Comic Book Resources, where he's over there writing his face off. And folks, that is it. We will be, that is not it. Sorry. You can find this here podcast on Google Play, Apple iTunes, Spotify, and the Coastal Podcast Network's SoundCloud page. But you can also find it on the Cold Slither Podcast Network, and that is cspn.us.
Do it today.
Absolutely. If y'all get a chance to go over there, go look up the Cold Slither Podcast. First of all, go look at the archives. That stuff is also, I think, on SoundCloud. Might be possibly. Actually, it's separate. But go check that out. But go check out episode 50, which was them talking about the G.I. Joe movie, because I think we talked about that last week. Now that Retaliation, which was the second movie in the franchise. But also, as a bonus, they basically did a live watch of the Cold Slither G.I. Joe cartoon, which hence the name of the channel comes from. It's a treat. You should go check it out.
Mm-hmm.
If you need something to do. Cold Slither Podcast was great. I miss those guys doing that show. If it wasn't for that, the Comic Chronicles wouldn't be here. Like, actually, really.
Absolutely.
Anyway, so there is that, folks. We will be back next Thursday, hopefully technical difficulty free, on the KLIQ Nation's YouTube channel, 9:30-ish p.m. Thursday nights. You know the drill. And of course, the audio comes out sometime later, probably Saturday, Sunday on the CSPN, like we said. So yeah, we'll try to tweet us out on social media. And with that, folks, This has been the Comic Book Chronicles. Peace.
Peace. One.
I love it when a plan comes together.